My roommate was getting flirty with the campus heartthrob. Unknowingly, I ended up as her romance advisor, while his cold, poker-faced friend was apparently doing the same on his end. After countless mental breakdowns, the two finally got together, and naturally, both support teams had to meet over dinner. The moment we sat down, his icy glare was already mocking me. "So you're the one who insisted my bro master triathlons." I clenched my teeth and shot back. "Then why did you demand my girl learn delicate embroidery?" My roommate Nina started flirting with her campus god, Johnson. As everyone knows, when college students fall in love, it's really a contest between the strategists from both dorms, and I, as Nina White's chief dog-headed strategist, directed the whole campaign, surveying the terrain and waving my command banner. "Nina, listen to me. Keep your replies concise." Nina White went crimson with shyness. "Okay, he just said he was washing socks. Can I praise him and say that's great?" I clicked my tongue and analyzed matter. He's showcasing that he's industrious, so a dry little reply won't cut it. But I don't know what to say. "Forget it. Give me the phone. I'll reply to this one. You'll learn from it." Nina hurried to pass me her phone, looking at me with starry-eyed admiration. I thought for a moment. Then, under washing socks, I sent a short, punchy line. "I miss you." Then the typing that had been flashing on the chat screen instantly vanished. The other side fell deathly silent. I could already picture a certain boys' dorm where the C language content had spiked beyond safety limits. Their strategist had planned to have Johnson Wilson test the waters first. I seized the initiative and tossed a nuke, blowing their command bunker sky high. "Tonight your dreamboat is probably too excited to know what to say, and tomorrow he'll come find you to ask you out to eat." Nina looked at me with sparkling eyes. "Jenna, you're amazing." I smiled, hiding my achievements and my name. "Low profile. Next time, don't come to me hum overflowing with gratitude." Nina suddenly grew curious and asked me, "But if you're so good, how are you still single?" My smile paused. "Have you ever heard of a strategist personally taking the field?" "No. Exactly. A strategist never needs to set foot on the battlefield to orchestrate victory." Nina was suddenly enlightened. I, however, scratched at my fingers, feeling a little guilty. A strategist indeed doesn't go to war, because if she did, she'd be the first to die. The next day, sure enough, Johnson came looking for Nina. They chatted bashfully at the foot of the girls' dorm. But if you looked closely, each of them wore a Bluetooth earbud. I crouched at the window, secretly observing. Nina, the other side, actually brought their strategists to the fight today. "Don't be scared. I'm here. Stay steady." Nina gave a small cough to show she understood. I hurried to search for the other strategist's figure. Got him. By a street lamp not far from the dorm, a figure leaned lazily. Long legs, broad shoulders. It was a bit far, so I couldn't see his face clearly, but even from the rough outline it was obvious he was stupidly handsome. He was also watching Nina and Johnson, wearing the same model of earbud as Johnson. Barring surprises, that was the opposing strategist, the nemesis who had been crossing swords with me in silence these days. Perhaps sensing me, the boy lifted his eyelids and looked in my direction. I narrowed my eyes, cold as ice. He froze for a beat. Then I was the first to look away, while a bugle charge blared in my head. A brain-controlled man-machine war was about to begin. Today, I would blow him to pieces. After that, the two love contestants sat there and began chatting. People in the throes of flirtation always poke at each other's background and try to show themselves off. Johnson was no exception. He straight up showed off the muscles on his arm to Nina. Nina was so startled she didn't know how to respond, coughing wildly and begging me for guidance. Even I couldn't bear to watch, so I told her directly, "Do something a little flirty with him. He's acting like he's about to sign you up for a triathlon." Nina hurried to repeat it. "Johnson, let's do something a little flirty." Johnson flushed. What saying? Like, could you take me to compete in a triathlon?" Johnson choked up. "If you really like triathlons, I can try." "Great. What kind of nonsense is this?" Afraid she'd say something even more outrageous, I scolded through the earbud. "Sis, I told you to flirt with him. Flirt. Why are you parroting me word for word?" Nina coughed again. "Guilty. Be bold. Hold his hand." Then, under my encouraging gaze, she directly yanked Johnson's hand over, her tone stammering yet oddly flippant. "Why, your hand is so big, way bigger than mine. What hand cream do you use?" I went numb, my face the color of ash. Let the world burn. This already falls outside the realm of human logic. Sure enough, Johnson froze in mortification. On the other side, their strategist was clearly barking orders into his earbud. Johnson went from blank to suddenly enlightened. The next second, he ran his fingers back over Nina's hand and said earnestly, "Your hands are even prettier." Hands this pretty, what a pity not to use them for paper embroidery. Nina was dumbstruck. I laughed in disbelief. Is their strategist sick who asks someone to do paper embroidery? I glanced up and saw the opposing strategist tear out his earbud and stomp off, his face dark as the bottom of a pot. Only, before he left, he swept a look at the window where I was hiding. Johnson instantly lost all composure. In the end, that little date wrapped up hastily in a cloud of melodrama. For the first time, I began to doubt my strategist IQ. Nina stood awkwardly by my bed, waiting for my verdict. After thinking it over, I decided we couldn't drag this out. With the brains those two leads were working with, if they flirted a few more days, the soup would go cold. Here's the plan. Tomorrow in the daytime, ask him to the movies. Huh. I take the initiative. Yes, you do. But I'm guessing he'll also ask you. Still, I'm not feeding you lines tomorrow. You're on your own. Nina was bewildered. I can't. I pushed her aside mercilessly. You can and you will. You like each other. I'm just a bystander. I can't meddle too much. Nina was nervous, but she obeyed, shyly asking Johnson to the movies. Very soon, good news arrived the next day. On their first official date, the two finally held hands. That thin paper window of flotation was one last kick from breaking. Just when I thought the pair would naturally end up together, Nina brought up one more thing. Johnson wanted to invite her to dinner, with a lone man and a single woman. She couldn't help being a little scared. Jenna, come eat with me. I shouldn't, after all. If those two were making eyes at each other across the table, I'd be a glaring third wheel sitting there. But the opposing strategist will probably go to what my spirit shot up. Oh ho, I still hadn't truly faced this enemy strategist. I'd only heard Nina say he was super handsome as Brad Pitt. Then I had to see exactly which pretty boy came up with that paper embroidery absurdity. That night, the two parties met. Nina and Johnson gazed shyly at each other. You pour me water, I pick you vegetables. The atmosphere was warm, and I snuck several looks at the boy sitting opposite with that lazy posture, words rising to my lips and dying there. Conservative. Nina's description had been downright conservative. How is this? As handsome as Brad Pitt. He was a scumbag face who could crush Brad Pitt. What are you looking at? Scumbag face lifted his lids and slanted me a glance. I put on a fake smile. If you weren't looking at me, how would you know I was looking at you? The boy spoke in the tone you use to tease a child. Maybe because I've got heavenly sight. So we're playing it abstract. Huh, you're so. Before I could say, full of it, the two leads finally tore themselves away from their little love nest and noticed the drawn sword tension between us. Nina hurried to tug me. Johnson, brother Jeremy. I haven't had time to introduce you. This is my roommate, Jenna Park. My best friend, she's helped me so much. Johnson grinned sheepishly. I know. Jenna Park, right. The freshman representative from first year, the opening ceremony, our whole dorm saw you. As he spoke, he quickly patted Scumbag Face arm. This is my best bro and my roommate, our math department's top card, Jeremy Davis. So he was the Jeremy Davis that kept getting mentioned in the girls' dorm. Old Davis, hurry up and meet the beauty. Fate has brought you together. Then, under the two leads' gaze, Jeremy Davis was the first to extend his hand, as if to shake mine. So you're the one who demanded my bro be triathlon ready. I immediately raised my hand and squeezed back, hard, through gritted teeth. Then what gives you the right to demand my sister do paper embroidery? Jeremy seemed not to feel a thing and drawled lazily. I told him to praise your friend's pretty fingers. I shot back, and I only told Nina to change the subject. Why was he flexing in public? I wanted him to show his strengths. Who knew he'd roll up his sleeves? So, Jeremy and I snapped our heads around and found the two culprits with their heads down, wolfing food and playing dead. Misunderstanding cleared. Jeremy's scumbag face looked much more pleasing to my eyes. After all, he was handsome, especially the kind of handsome that comes with a nice scent, and that alone could make a person feel unreasonably cheerful. I chatted idly with him, here and there. Nothing serious. Jeremy turned out to be decent company. Whatever I said, he could pick up. When the table atmosphere got awkward, he'd casually toss out a fitting topic. He smoothed over that delicate, bashful tension between our two lovebirds without making a fuss. Only, as soon as one knot loosened, a brand new stalemate would pop up. Put it this way, if you sent these two mouths to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, they'd start the job in the morning and trigger World War III by the afternoon. That they'd managed to flirt their way this far was sheer dumb luck. My head throbbed when the two of them, still bashful, headed to the restroom together. I immediately looked at Jeremy, worried. Tell me, do you think they've got a shot? Jeremy shook his head. No idea. Let things take their course. Do you want them to end up together? Of course. They like each other. That's why I'm helping as a friend. Don't you feel the same? No. Jeremy lifted his eyes and gave a soft laugh. Then his gaze settled squarely on my face. Meaningful. Jenna Park, I'm helping him for other reasons. I was a little puzzled, but Jeremy didn't elaborate, and I couldn't very well press him. Just then, I had to pee too, so I got up and headed for the restroom. Might as well check whether our two leads had fallen into the toilet. The dishes were getting cold and still no sign of them, which left me and Jeremy, practically strangers, making small talk for ages. But the restroom was empty. Suspicious. I went looking for the pair around the restaurant. Rounding a corner near a pretty little balcony, I finally saw them. The two contestants stood face to face, shy and close. Too close. The kind of closeness that could turn into a kiss any second. Sure enough, the next moment, Johnson began to lower his head. My eyelids twitched. Kissing before a confession. Isn't that a bit rogue? I was just about to blurt something out when a big hand appeared behind me. It clapped over my mouth and pulled me straight into the dim corner. The palm was dry and warm, carrying some nameless fragrance, pressing right over my mouth and nose. My back hit the rise and fall of a man's chest. MMPH. I struggled on instinct. A wry, half-smiling voice sounded above my head. Jenna Park, have you lost your mind? It was Jeremy. That sudden contact with a guy made me more flustered than watching my friend make out. I scrambled to pry Jeremy's hand away. MMPH. The tiny sound made Johnson on the balcony turn his head. Suspicious. Sounds like someone's there. Nina glanced around, equally confused. I don't think so. I didn't dare move a muscle. Jeremy didn't move either. So we stayed like that, pressed together in the shadows, silent, awkward, and weird. When Johnson and Nina finally lowered their heads again, all cuddly, Jeremy let his hand fall and breathed against my ear. Come on, don't interrupt them. That little puff of warm air hit the tip of my ear. I blinked and nodded. Got it. I followed Jeremy obediently back to the table, and that ear still felt faintly hot. Jeremy's face was calm, as if the person who'd been that close to me a moment ago hadn't been him at all. I held it in, and still couldn't help asking, isn't it a bit much for your roommate to kiss my roommate before they've made it official? Johnson isn't that shameless, and your roommate knows her limits. He'll probably just kiss her cheek. Besides, Jeremy arched a brow. A cheek kiss during the flirtation phase sweetens things up. I half understood, half didn't. Kind of makes sense. So what do we do now? Let them be for a while. Are you full? I blinked, not sure where he was going with this. More or less. Eat 2 more bites. I'll walk you back to the dorm. Give them some free play. I already paid the bill. That last sentence made me shoot him a thumbs up in genuine respect. Now that's a professional strategist, one who even covers the check. Not wanting to keep Jeremy waiting, I ducked my head and shoveled in a couple more bites. I completely failed to notice the boy across from me lift his hand, the very hand that had just covered my mouth. He glanced at me, hunched over my food, then let his gaze drop to that hand. After that, he lazily brought it to his lips. His mouth brushed the center of his palm. His brows and eyes softened with quiet delight. After we finished eating, Jeremy and I left the restaurant first. Figuring Nina wouldn't be bold enough to stay out all night, I relaxed a little. Still, I couldn't help that faint melancholy, like my daughter had been snatched by a boar. Once a girl grows up, her mom has no say. Luckily, the place wasn't far from campus. Jeremy and I walked side by side toward the school. I had to admit, taking this offbeat nighttime stroll with a guy for the first time felt a bit stiff. On top of that, the number of heads this dude turned was ridiculous. I felt like a zoo monkey. Advertisement-piercing glances from passing beauty sliced across me. The other monkey, however, stayed perfectly unbothered. If anything, I sensed a hint of inexplicable good cheer in him. I couldn't figure out people like him. Maybe the crowd's attention was his stimulant. I cleared my throat to break the silence and probe his plans. Jeremy, how are you going to keep helping your roommates chase my roommate? Depends how far their feelings progress. Are you coming to the next date like this? Are you coming? He answered with a question. I fretted. I don't know, but if you go, I'll definitely have to go. Then we both go. They're still shy. We should help, okay? Something occurred to me. Right, it's Nina's birthday next week. Is your roommate planning some grand move? He is. I was relieved. So next week there'd probably be a confession-worthy grand gesture. I bumped him with my elbow. Jeremy, we're basically grasshoppers tied to the same rope now. Whatever you guys plan, remember to loop me in so I can cooperate. Jeremy's steps faltered. Then I might not be able to tell you. I didn't get it. Why not? Because he turned his head. Against the street lamp his profile was all warm gold, his face half in light, half in shade. But those inky eyes were clear as anything. He looked at me and smiled. Very likely, because I don't have your WeChat. So, Jenna, shall we add each other? Then he lit up his phone. His friend adding QR code glowed on the screen. Not long after I got back to the dorm, Nina returned too, positively radiant. After whispering a few shy details about time with her dreamboat, she happily went to wash up. I lay on my bed and opened the brand new WeChat friend I'd just added. Nina's in a good mood. Looks like your roommate's pretty good at coaxing girls. If he can't coax a girl, he's useless. So you coax other girls too? Jeremy didn't reply. The conversation seemed to end there by tacit agreement. Naturally, I didn't push it. Only when I finished my shower and was about to sleep did I see a few messages from Jeremy. I've never coaxed anyone else. Just now I was talking with Johnson about next week's birthday confession. Plan is to hit the amusement park for the day. At night there's a fireworks show, and he'll use the moment to give flowers and confess. Jenna, I replied. Sounds good. I'll coordinate. I added a thumbs up sticker and proactively ended the topic. Over the following week, Jeremy and I chatted now and then. The topics between us mostly circled around the little romantic trifles of our two leads, and we even became like impasse, acquaintances on moments. All in all, it felt a bit like a revolutionary friendship had formed, though something odd happened. In daily life, the probability of hearing the name Jeremy started rising on a straight line, and whenever I passed the courts, I always seemed to catch sight of him playing ball. It was as if he'd suddenly been dropped into my life, an effect so uncanny it amazed me. Then the next week arrived, Nina's birthday. Johnson proposed a trip to the amusement park. She must have sensed something and ran to me, shyly asking what I thought. Naturally, I told her to say yes. So the four of us set out from campus together for the park. Watching my bestie glow beside the guy she liked, I sidled up to Jeremy. Got everything set, more or less. So what's our mission? Our mission, Jeremy answered unhurriedly, is to take them to the haunted house first. The haunted house. I immediately got it and flashed him a thumbs up. Great idea. Nina scares easily if she gets spooked. She dives straight into Johnson's arms. Hero saves the beauty. Natural physical contact, plus the suspension bridge effect. Chef's kiss. I agreed on the spot and caught Jeremy by the arm to keep him from tagging along too closely. Then we'll follow behind. Don't disturb them. Jeremy glanced at my hand on his forearm, his eyes bent, amused. Sure, I'll follow your lead. Things went exactly as I'd predicted. Up ahead, between jump scares and NPC pop-outs, the two got all snug and lovey-dovey, clinging tight. Jeremy and I trailed from a good distance. Calm and unruffled, mostly because I knew it was fake. I fall asleep to horror podcasts, so this stuff doesn't rattle me. I was also keeping constant tabs on the pair ahead, so I didn't let out a single yelp even when a chainsaw NPC lunged at me. After I once again strolled past a scare actor without blinking, Jeremy seemed unable to hold back. Jenna, you're not scared. Not at all. I glanced back suspiciously. In the dim light, Jeremy's mouth seemed to twitch. I'm not either, I teased, offhand. Oh, I was about to say if you're scared I can hold your hand and lead you out. Don't worry, I'll protect your heartthrob image afterward. His eyelids lifted and he switched stances without missing a beat. Okay, you caught me. I'm actually a little scared. So, Jenna, could you hold my hand and take me out? I frowned. It hadn't occurred to me he'd actually wimp out, so laid back and unruly most days, afraid of a haunted house. But I'd already said it. It'd be rude to leave him hanging. I hesitated, then stretched out my arm, then grabbed my arm. Jeremy paused. Didn't you say you'd hold my hand? Flushed and flustered, I scolded him. Men and women keep a bit of distance. Okay, hurry, they're getting ahead, and our mission isn't finished. Right. Sorry to trouble you. Jeremy didn't fuss further. He lifted his hand and took hold of my forearm. His palm was broad, his fingers long and fine-boned. It felt like his one hand could circle my arm. Maybe because it was summer, his body heat ran a little high, and his voice, of all things, came out faint and weak. Jenna, you have to protect me. With my free hand I awkwardly scratched my cheek. Why did the air in this haunted house suddenly taste like fresh brewed green tea? In the time we dawdled, Johnson and Nina had vanished, who knows where, so I tugged Jeremy toward the exit. He didn't make a peep along the way, and his hold on my arm never shifted. Maybe it was the cramped space and how close we were walking. But I could feel his light breaths ghost over my ear again and again. Ticklish. Only once we slipped out into open air did Jeremy let go. Thanks, you're welcome. I rubbed my burning ear and didn't dare look back. The four of us played our way through half the park and into nightfall. The fireworks show was about to start. The place thrummed with people. Using a milk tea run as cover, Johnson went to pick up the flowers he'd stashed. When I got the signal, I nudged Nina to go find him. She shot me a shy look and did as told. From here on, it was their time. Strategists had no business intruding. Jeremy clearly thought the same. He lazily pointed to an empty bench not far away. Let's sit and wait for them. I nodded and went with him. The bench wasn't big, just enough for two. But Jeremy was a head taller and a size broader. With his long legs and mine, our thighs inevitably brushed. Through thin fabric pants for him, a skirt for me. It made me so self-conscious I almost stood up. Before I could move, a bright-eyed girl stepped in front of us. She stared straight at Jeremy. Oh ho, someone's shooting her shot. I settled deeper, ready to munch on drama. Hey, handsome, can we add each other on WeChat? Jeremy didn't even bother to lift his lids. He kept scrolling his phone. No, why not? I just want to get to know you. Just pull up your QR code and I'll scan. Oh, I don't want to get to know you. Shot down twice. She still kept a sweet smile. Already got a girlfriend. Is it this lady next to you? She flicked her gaze to me. I froze, about to deny it. A chime sounded. I looked down. It was from the person beside me. Help me help how? Up to you. I don't want to be hit on, and I'm not giving her my WeChat. Do this and I'll buy you meals for a whole semester. Whatever you want. Seriously, why would I lie? Help, obviously. Free food is sacred. Only a fool leaves money on the table. I pocketed my phone, met the girl's eyes, and smiled. You saw through us. Then I leaned right into the boy beside me, laying it on thick. Sorry, my husband doesn't give his WeChat to other girls, and he definitely doesn't flash his QR code for anyone. Right, hubby. Jeremy said nothing, just lowered his eyes to me, dark gaze steady. I figured the sudden hubby had stunned him and poked him covertly. Say something, hubby. Come on, man. Learn to improvise. At last, Jeremy came back to himself. He slipped an arm around my waist and pulled me in. His tone gentle and lazy. Right. I only show it to someone I like. And that someone is you. The girl's smile dropped clean off. She turned and left. I sat up quickly, and Jeremy removed his hand from my waist. I tugged at the pleats of my skirt and mused aloud. Jeremy, that line was great. I only show my QR code to someone I like. I'm using that next time. That wasn't the line, huh? I looked up, confused, and found him staring straight at me. Who knows for how long already? He drawled. I do only offer my WeChat to someone I like. Just then, the fireworks show began. Brilliant bursts blossomed in the sky above Jeremy's head. The feelings glittering in his beautiful eyes were just as dazzling and unreadable. My hands froze on my skirt. Stunned. Back at the dorm with Nina, she hugged her flowers like treasure. Newly smitten, she gushed through her confession moment beat by beat, while I sat in my chair, mind elsewhere. Jenna, what's wrong? Nina finally noticed something off, patting my shoulder. I looked at her, hesitating. Do you know Jeremy well? Not really. Why? Could you discreetly ask your boyfriend whether Jeremy likes someone? Oh, don't say it's me who asked. Okay. Nina went to ask Johnson. After a while, she handed me the phone with a strange look. I glanced at the chat. Brother Jeremy says, a certain someone should ask him directly. He'll tell her for sure. Who's a certain someone, babe? Which girl put you up to this? And why was brother Jeremy grinning just now like he'd won the lottery? So smug it kinda scared me. I could not count on those two, looser-lipped than an old lady's drawstring pants. They'd practically broadcast it to the man himself. Nina probed. Is that a certain someone you? Jenna, what's going on with you and Jeremy? I didn't know how to answer, because I had the vague feeling that Jeremy might like me. He'd said he only offers his WeChat to someone he likes. After that party, he'd been the one to pull up the add friend QR. He'd said he wasn't helping because Johnson was his roommate. He had other reasons. What other reasons? Money. He doesn't lack it. Nina, he's not into her. Don't tell me he likes Johnson and believes in cosmic love. Now that would be wild. But there was a reason even wilder that made my heart trip over itself. Which was, he likes me. Jeremy was helping his roommate court mine because I'm Nina's roommate. I flopped face down on the desk, cheeks burning, eyes blank. If that were true, well, color me shocked. Ding, my phone buzzed. Johnson and I have a basketball game tomorrow. You and your roommate want to come watch. I started to type no, but after a moment's hesitation, I sensed something else. Okay. The next day, my roommate and I got to the court before tea. There were a lot of onlookers, mostly girls, and most of those girls were staring straight at Jeremy. Nina and Johnson, now true love brains, were no longer shy. They whispered sweet nothings on the sideline. I stood quietly, my gaze drifting to Jeremy as he warmed up. He wore the same black and white jersey as Johnson today. His forehead was slightly damp. The line of his back was straight and handsome. I leaned on the chain-link fence and stared at him, dazed. Likes me. Does he even know me? I could trace my family tree branch by branch and still swear I didn't know him. Finally, I couldn't help it. I cut into the couple's flirting. Johnson, did Jeremy know me before? I dunno. Probably not. Ask him. The game hasn't started yet. I'll call him over. You can ask him directly. Before I could stop him, Johnson turned and shouted at that tall figure, Brother Jeremy, come here. Jenna's got a question. Too fast for me to intervene. Of course, Jeremy heard. He tossed the ball to a teammate and sauntered over. Standing inside the fence, he looked me in the eye as I floundered. What do you want to ask? I didn't catch it. Johnson chimed in helpfully. She asked me if you already knew her before. Look at that drawstring mouth. I wanted to bury myself under a tree. Jeremy, on the other hand, was calm as a monk.
Oh, I did.
My lashes dropped. My fingers clenched the fence tighter in shock. So he did. How? Jeremy lifted a hand and gently pried my fingers off the wire where they'd left an imprint. Then he bent in close. A cool, clean hint of sweat rose off him. The day of the freshman ceremony, Westgate restroom. When I started school, the dean tapped me as the student rep for the freshman ceremony. I was supposed to give a speech on stage, for something that formal. I even bought a gauzy dress, thin and lovely. As Nina put it, curves for days. That morning, I waited in the wings. I'd clearly had too much water. My bladder was rebelling. With 30 minutes still to go, I told the dean and slipped to the nearest restroom by the west gate. All the freshmen entered through the east gate and used the east restrooms. The west ones were empty. I picked a stool, took care of business, and just as I was about to leave, the damned pipe burst. I got drenched to the bone. Thank heaven it was clean running water. Otherwise I might have planted my head in the squat toilet and died on the spot. But the dress was ruined, soaked and plastered to my skin, my underwear color faintly visible. I couldn't even step out to find help. All I could do was pray someone would come and rescue me. 15 minutes left till my speech, and Nina had my phone. I panicked harder. Then I heard a lazy set of footsteps at the restroom entrance, heading toward the men's side. I shouted for help at once. Hey, Could you come here a second? The steps paused, then seemed to come to paces toward the women's door. My heart leapt. I'm in the ladies. Could you go out and grab any piece of clothing and bring it here? The water pipe burst. I'm soaked and can't leave. He finally spoke, voice low and even. Which stall? Third from the entrance, please. Okay, then he came straight in. Stunned, didn't begin to cover it. Shouldn't he fetch clothes first? Knock knock. He rapped lazily on the door. Too much trouble to find any. Open up, I'll lend you my jacket and cap. I cracked the door. Thank you, you're a lifesaver, may you be rich. Long lived and peak at Life Summit. After the ceremony, let me treat you to a feast. He chuckled. He kept his distance. The whole time only one hand came into view, beautiful hand tendons, neatly traced. I took the clothes and shut the door. There happened to be tissues inside. I dabbed off my face and neck, pulled on the jacket and hid my wet hair under the cap. My bedraggled state disappeared. Now I just look like a girl with a taste for androgynous clothes. I pushed the door open, ready to thank my rescuer properly, but he was gone. I had to hurry back to the hall and, thankfully, made it just in time for the speech. Afterward, I laundered the jacket and cap and stored them away. I didn't know who he was, and I had nowhere to return them. All I remembered was the clean, good smell on that jacket. And now Jeremy told me that was him. I edged closer to the fence and, very quietly, sniffed in his direction. Same scent, that languid drawl, too, the same as my kind strangers. No wonder that first time we officially met, that smell on him made me inexplicably happy. So it was him. Jeremy didn't linger. He went back to the game. I stood there, absent-minded, while Nina looked me over once, then again fox-sly like a weasel, eyeing a hen. I shot her a glare. Spit it out. She immediately whispered, gossip mode on. What's your relationship with Jeremy? We both pitched in to get you two together. Does that count? Nina smiled, bashful. It counts. But what about you two knowing each other before? Well, before that, I quickly told her about last year's freshman ceremony, when I'd been soaked and stranded. Nina mulled it over. So, Jeremy sat in the audience, watched you on stage wearing his jacket and cap, and of course recognized you. After that, he kept a soft spot for you, and used the jacket as bait. Then through me and Johnson he crossed paths with you again, and started pursuing you step by step. Wow, scheming black-bellied man. I had to admit she made sense. Then it struck me. Hold on. If your analysis is that sharp, why do you turn useless when it's your own love life? My roommate grinned, giving me a mysterious pat. When it's my own romance, I only speak but when I'm watching someone else's, my mind is clear enough to command a Normandy landing. So go for it. Be bold. From now on, I'm your strategist in love. If you don't know what to do, ask me. I'll sort it out. I laughed till I almost cried. Perfect arc complete. When Jeremy's game wrapped up, the four of us headed to the cafeteria in silent agreement. The little couple walked ahead, hand in hand. Fresh from a shower at the gym, the boy strolled unhurriedly at my side. If I quickened my pace, he quickened his. If I stopped, he stopped. More than once I wanted to ask what, exactly, he meant by that, but I didn't know how to ask. Jeremy didn't volunteer anything either. He was like someone teasing a puppy on a leash, reeling me in with hints, waiting for me to get impatient and cave first. Annoying. Jeremy was really annoying. I pressed my lips together. Jeremy, I'll return your jacket and cap tomorrow, okay? He agreed very readily. But didn't you promise to treat me to a feast? What, planning to skip out on the bill? I'll treat you. I gave him a look. I never said I wouldn't. Besides, you still owe me a semester of meals. Then I'll come pick you up tomorrow, and I'll treat first. As you like. I picked at my fingers and ducked my burning face. Great. Why did this suddenly feel exactly like a date? Well, because it did feel like a date. With that indescribable flutter in my chest, I came downstairs the next day with the clothes bag. Jeremy was already there waiting. Even dressed simply, he drew a whole swath of shy, lingering glances from passing girls. I walked up and handed him the bag. Here. I washed everything. He took it without even opening it. Thanks. I should be the one saying thanks. If not for you, I'd have made a fool of myself at the ceremony. Sounds like I was pretty wise to avoid the crowded restroom and switch to the other one. Right. Your restroom taste is excellent. I rambled, then turned and fell into step with him as we left campus. Out of the corner of my eye caught Nina in a flesh-colored hoodie at the dorm's little storefront, pumping her fists like mad, like a skin frog twitching on a live wire. Is that what I look like when I'm playing strategist? Once we left campus, Jeremy and I didn't bother with a ride. We followed a small road toward the shopping street, and the bustling crowds helped wash away my nerves. I finally asked what I'd been curious about. Jeremy, if you recognized me that day, why didn't you come find me afterward to get your clothes back? They're pretty pricey. What if I hadn't returned them? He glanced at a bicycle gliding past against traffic and, without a word, stepped to the outside of the sidewalk. It's just a jacket. I had something to deal with, and by the time I went back you were gone, so I figured I'd leave it with you for the time being. I see. Fair enough. He didn't look like he lacked money, the kind of person who could give away a jacket on a whim. Remnants of capitalism, still alive and well. Looks like my socialist iron fist isn't hard enough, I sighed theatrically, but felt a little deflated inside. So Nina had been wrong. Jeremy hadn't been dangling the jacket to hook me. He'd just gotten busy and forgotten. Suddenly I didn't want to ask anything else, but Jeremy sounded faintly dissatisfied. Why'd you stop asking? I forced a smile. Oh, it's nothing. I was thinking we could catch a movie before dinner. Still early. Jeremy slanted me a look, voice flat. Okay. We walked into the theater in silence. He went to get the tickets. I drifted by a cooler, gnawing on an ice cream and spacing out at his back. Right then, a young stranger stepped in front of me and blocked my view. Hey pretty, can we add each other on WeChat? I waved him off. No, sorry. So, you have a boyfriend, he pressed, unwilling to give up. I shook my head. No, then added, but I do like someone. Got it. Sorry to bother you. He left, disappointed. As soon as he did, my view cleared, and there stood Jeremy not far away, 2 tickets in hand, his eyes gone dark with obvious displeasure. He came over and stopped in front of me, expression cool, and held out a ticket. Just as I reached, sheepish to take it, he spoke. Jenna, who's the person you like? My hand stalled. Ha, you just told that guy you like someone. Ooh, I snatched the ticket and muttered, quiet as a mouse, not telling you. I've liked him for a long time. Anyway, how long? Almost a year, I guess. Jeremy's lids lifted. So you still like him, and you've turned other people down for him. Why not go after him, huh? Why did that sound like he'd known about my crush for ages? I frowned, but answered honestly, because it feels like he's been chasing me too. I'm just waiting for him to spell it out so I can say yes. Oh, Jeremy nodded blandly. Okay, then what place am I in? My eyelids flicked. What? Where do I rank among the guys chasing you? After him, at first place. My heart kicked. My voice started to stammer. Jeremy's face brightened, plain as day. He gave a short, derisive laugh. Then that other guy's useless. Can't even beat me. What a waste of your feelings. How about you consider me instead? When you turned people down before, I heard you use that excuse. I let it slide, but using it now I can't. What's so great about him? So he'd wanted to pursue me for a while, but after overhearing I liked someone, he'd shelved the idea of a straight confession, and switched to a curved approach. I ducked my head and took another bite of ice cream. The chill did nothing to cool my nerves. Instead of answering, I asked, so, Jeremy, you really do like me, isn't it obvious? Okay, it's pretty obvious. So can I get an early ticket in the queue for your heart? His gaze burned into me as I chomped my ice cream. I swallowed the last bite. No cut sun to clouds. His face fell. At last I looked up at him and, blushing, whispered, because there's only ever been one person in line. While Jeremy stood there momentarily short-circuited, I hooked a finger around his. I giggled, because the one I've always liked is you. From the moment you handed me those clothes, before I even saw your face, I already liked you. Who wouldn't like a good-smelling, kind boy? So yes, your restroom tastes really is excellent. I sighed in heartfelt agreement. The words, restroom taste, finally snapped Jeremy back to life. He flipped his hand to interlace our fingers and sauntered toward the ticket check. That's called aesthetic sense. If you call it restroom taste, you're dragging yourself into it. True, nearly lowered my class. I agreed earnestly, and we went into the theater hand in hand. 3.32. Just as the opening credits rolled, a thought hit me. I turned and leaned on his shoulder, whispering, then, when did you start liking me? Jeremy smiled. He said it was probably that same freshman ceremony day, watching me stand there in a beautiful gauzy dress, and he just couldn't look away. When I headed for the restroom, he got up and followed. And then the restroom meet cute happened. From then on, I was on his mind too.